Okay, guys, it is 8:15. I'm just going to briefly share my screen and give the results of the poll before we go into our final presentation. So share screen. Okay, one second now. So the final poll results actually haven't changed at 21. So most people predominantly are looking for financial security and peace, time to pursue their own passions, a blend of freedom, spending time with family, and getting off the hamster wheel or retiring early. Let's come off screen share. And I'm just going to introduce our last guests in the same theme as last time when we had Tim and Amy from the States. We're finishing with an example, a great example of people who've been on the fire journey for a while, have actually fired, as they say. And obviously, Neil and Sarah from To Go Rome. Lastly, we're excited to have them. And in December 2020, they actually fired, left their full-time jobs, sold their house and all possessions in the name of minimalism, and packed their bags. I do believe they are ready to travel, and slow travel, may I add, the world. So with no further ado, I'll hand host control over to Neil, who can do all the jokes because I've not had a chance to do any tonight with this presented. And there you go. Over to Neil and Sarah. You're into Sarah, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. We're in as To Go Rome.
To Go Rome once again,
yeah,
and I'll just
switch it up a bit.
Brilliant. So host control, guys, over to you, and you can share your screen, Neil.
Okay. Well, you say I can try. Okay, so I'm going to share that one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, we can see you. Yep.
Lovely. Right. So, first of all, well done, everybody, for sticking around for us, because we're really not that interesting. So we are To Go Rome, and as Dave mentioned at the outset, we effectively hit fire in December of last year. Mm-hmm. As the slide here says, gone in 60 seconds. I'm not going to call them out, but there's actually someone on this call who's my best mate, and she would have seen me disappear in 60 seconds. And so that's going to be a bit of fun for her as we go through this. But from normal to minimalist travelers in the blink of an eye. So I'm going to fire through this. That wasn't supposed to be a pun. That wasn't supposed to be a pun. Okay, right. This is what happens, isn't it? Nothing. There we go. So the agenda for what we're going to talk about is a bit about us before we found fire, and then the financing of fire, our why of fire, and finally our future. So let's head straight into it. So for me, looking at putting this presentation together, what I wanted to do is put myself in the position of the people who are listening in. And if I understand rightly from the briefing that I've had with Dave, we're probably the only ones on this call that have fired. And I think when you look into the future of fire, it can sometimes seem quite obscure and quite a distance away. So what we want to do is inspire as best that we can. And the way that we're going to be inspiring you is by telling you just how normal we are. And in fact, if anything, I'm less than normal. So let's start with what we're not and what we've never been. Mm-hmm. So the first thing is we're not super clever people. So in fact, neither of us went to university. Mm-hmm. I would have been thrown off a campus. There's a long story about my schooling. It didn't go particularly well, but the days I turned up, I did try quite hard. So we're not super clever people. We're certainly not financial wizards. So let me give you a couple of examples of our lack of wizardry when it comes to money. So first of all, when I was 17, I opened my first bank account, and that was back in the days when you had a bank manager. I opened my bank account, and then 2 days later, my bank manager called me to say, Neil, you've got a £50 overdraft facility. I said, right, that's good. And he said, but you're £100 overdrawn. What do we need to do here? And I said to him, well, it's quite clear. We need to increase my overdraft facility to £100. To me, that was a confusing question. My addiction at the time was records, buying records and everything to do with that. And I'd spend every penny that I had. Also, I got involved in a business which didn't go particularly well, and that's probably a story for another day. If ever I bump into any of you in a bar, that's where that one will get interesting. But that was in my early 20s, and I got saddled with significant debt from that. Also, at the same time, I bought a house at the height of the boom and sold it at the bottom, and was left with significant negative equity. And Sarah was also, that was before we even knew each other. That's just how clever we are. So that's the background as to where we came from. That's not to say we were completely useless. So we did have some things going for us. So the one thing that I learned, and maybe the first kind of teaching that I've got here, is changing jobs to improve income. So for the vast majority of my career, I worked no longer than 4 years in a company. It was normally around 3 years. And that was a mixture of me getting bored with what I was doing and probably them keen for me to move on. I don't know. But what I learned really early is people that stay in the role and look to work up within an organization generally are not going to be making the big bucks. So what I did is I moved, and every time I moved, I got a bump on my salary. So I've always been a salaried person, as has Sarah. Sarah, you're less someone who would move from that perspective, but you moved a fair amount as well, didn't you? So that's the first thing. I changed jobs regularly, and each time I was looking to move up the ladder in the work that I was doing. The next thing is hustle and drive, and I think this is fairly critical for anyone that's on the FIRE journey, because you understand money, you understand how all this stuff works. So for me, and it does fit into the same kind of thing around working my way up the corporate ladder by moving regularly. I remember a good many years ago, there was a magazine I used to read called Later, British magazine, and it was a magazine for kind of upwardly mobile men who, well, you know, not that mobile. They're interested in cars and all that kind of stuff as well. But what I do remember about that magazine, it went out of print years ago, is the inside back cover. There was always an interview with someone that's made it, and there was this one. Don't know who the guy was. I can't remember who he was now, but there was this one guy who said one thing which stuck with me, and actually I started to implement it there and then. And he said, "Fake it like you know it." And the second point to what he made was, "You'll soon realize everybody's faking it." And at that time, I think I was in a job where I wasn't probably as well qualified to do what I was doing, so I was always slightly behind the curve. And I remember going into work that day and asking some stupid questions. And the fun bit about asking those stupid questions is I quickly learned no one knew the answers. You know, there's 3-letter acronyms and all kinds of things that are bounced around. Quickly learned everyone's faking it. and the sooner you realize, unless obviously you're a heart surgeon, then I recommend you take it a little bit more seriously. But if you work in a corporate job, then having that hustle and drive to move up is important. But the one thing that Sarah and I both had as we went through all of this is a formidable team that we forged between us. So this is to say that if you are in a couple, you don't both have to have that hustle and drive. For me, it was really important to have Sarah as the kind of stable influence as I was being a bit crazy and going for things. If you're a single person going through this, that doesn't let you off the hook. That isn't to say, oh, well, I haven't got that person next to me to help me. And I think actually a way of looking at this is you haven't got someone next to you that doesn't quite get it. I've read a lot of things and spoken to a lot of people who are wanting to do the FIRE thing, but their partner is too addicted to spending or
just not willing to listen to.
Not willing to get out there and educate. So if you are on your own, in many respects, you're not in a bad place from that perspective. Okay, so that's before we found FIRE. So moving on now to the financing of FIRE. This is fun. for me. This is fun because I'm looking back. We've fired, and the fun thing about this is looking at these slides. For me, I came from a real corporate background, and I'm putting pictures on these slides that in my last job they would have said you can't do that, remove that, but I'm doing it because I can. I've got a boss. It's brilliant. So what I'm going to cover here is education, and then how we developed to where we are today. So to start on the education, you may or may not be able to relate to what I'm about to say, but I know to the day, it was 13 years ago when I knew, so we, had all this debt that I spoke about. We'd worked our way out of there, and I knew that I wanted to have a positive retirement, but I knew absolutely nothing about retirement, about money. I didn't actually think there was anything really to know about money. I thought, I know what money is, I've got pounds, shillings, pence, it's as easy as that. But there was this one day when a letter dropped through the post. I opened it, and it was my pension statement. And I actually took a picture of it. So let me just put that up here. That's not the exact pension statement, but it may as well be, because I looked at this pension statement, and what it told me was, firstly, I don't understand anything that it was telling me. It had various numbers on there, various dates, and I was so lacking in education at this time that I remember it was just over £3,000. It said by normal retirement age, you will have £3,000. And I thought, does that mean, because £3,000 is not a lot of money, that's not good, I'm going to be destitute? And then I thought, oh, well, maybe it means, maybe that's in money that's today's money. In the future, that would be like 50 grand. I could live on that. And then I thought, no, maybe it's not that. I'm just confused. I don't know what any of it means. And that was one of the best letters I've ever received, because that was the day that I said to myself, I have to get educated on this stuff. I've got no choice but to learn what everything is about with regard to money. And Sarah, you'll remember that, because you saw that I was then getting head down into books and various other things.
We started talking about money. We hadn't really mentioned it before then, have we?
Exactly. So this was a whole new conversation piece for us. So back then, FIRE wasn't widely known. Going back 13 years, this guy, Mr. Money Mustache, he hadn't even started his blog back then. And so FIRE as a concept, a bit like Vince was talking about earlier, it meant nothing to me. It was an obscure phrase that meant about burning things in a forest. So I wasn't searching for FIRE. I was searching to learn about money. And that's actually really tricky to do, because there's so much information out there about money. But I did have our own personal lifesaver, and I just want to take a moment to moment of respect for this. I'm sure you all know who this is. No. Oh, okay. So it's not Steve Jobs. He's actually my brother-in-law. So this is not Steve Jobs. It's a different Steve, in fact. And I was fortunate because Steve was an accountant by trade and was a financial director for a company. And I remember over a beer one day talking to him, telling him my story, really, and telling him I know nothing about money, but I know I need to. And Steve was great because he's not someone who's ever going to kind of impose himself. But what he did is he pointed me in directions. I was saying, I'm really interested in doing this. And he was saying, yeah, don't do that. Have a look at this. And giving me pages of the financial pages and explaining to me what price to earnings ratios and all that kind of stuff was. And it was a really good kind of initial education on investment. So for that, I will always be thankful for Steve. And in fact, I woke up at about 4 o'clock this morning. That's the beauty of FIRE. You can. So I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, and I'd had an email from Steve overnight, which was all about taxation for people who are nomadic. And I was reading all that for about 3 or 4 hours before Sarah woke up. So moving on, there really is so much misinformation, and that's scary. I think it's scary for All of your friends and family is scary for my friends and family because they're not interested. Because look at you lot, this is 8:30 at night on a Saturday night. Now, partly it's good that there's COVID because you can't be out enjoying yourself, but you could certainly be doing something else with your time. So you're educated enough to want to get on and learn, but a lot of people aren't. So they'll hear one snippet of something, you know, everyone buy Tesla, and they'll go and buy Tesla. Or what's the thing I read about today? There was investment that's cooled off massively in the last few days. I can't remember, but there are all these kind of things where people without education can get easily misled, and I'm not even talking about, you know, kind of mis-selling. I'm just talking about investments which aren't necessarily what's going to help move them in the right direction. So for us, the whole FIRE movement just gave us what we needed, which was absolute clarity. And I would say the moment when, from a FIRE perspective, all of this just slotted into space was when we started listening to Choose FI, which I'm sure you all know Choose FI podcast. If not, then you really need to look it up. And list it and reading things like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Your Money or Your Life, Simple Path to Wealth, all that kind of stuff. Just it for me, it was a relief because I'm looking at all of these different instruments and price to earnings ratios and buying individual stock. And I might put this on the blurb that Dave sent out, but seriously, I bought one stock, which and I bought quite a lot of this stock, and it was in a diamond mine. So that's quite a good idea. And I bought a lot of stock in a like a ticketing business. So if I tell you that ticketing business, if you look at the dates around the investment cycle on that one, the day I bought in probably couldn't be any better. If you look back, is, you know, to the day I bought it at the right time, and I sold it at a profit of about 300%. And if you look at it, I sold it at what looks like exactly the right time. So, you know, I'm your financial guru. You listen to me. I also bought this diamond mine that flooded. And when that diamond mine flooded, they closed it. And every penny that I had in that diamond mine went with it, which completely took away all the earnings that we made on the other stock. So for me, getting involved in individual stock like that was just, it was craziness. And the one thing I saw, and I think Alvar was talking about this earlier about, you know, just you get in and plod and just invest and plod. I was finding early on that I was chasing. So I go, oh, I'm going to move it into this. I'm going to move it into that. And every year I'd look at my statement of my investments and it hasn't really gone down, but I've not made any real movement. It's because I'm moving things. So I'm paying brokerage fees by changing brokers. I'm paying fees for investment and all that. That was a bad day. So clarity in how we invest, all through the FIRE community. So everyone that's involved in FIRE, that's partly why we're on here doing this. We want to pay back because it's helped us immeasurably. So moving on to the financing of FIRE, this is an interesting slide, okay, because I'm talking to an educated audience today. And that means that this, which is going to be the most complicated slide, is going to be the easiest. So we don't have any property. We don't have any REITs at the moment. Personal choice. It's not necessarily that we don't agree with property or REITs. It's just not working for us. I'll be getting to our why of FI shortly, but what you'll learn through that is we are going to be nomadic. And the one thing that you don't really want when you're nomadic is a property. Our property is going to be a backpack. And I don't really want rental properties back in the UK when we're somewhere around the world and something happens. So we're not involved in property or REITs. We're involved in low-cost index funds through Vanguard. There are other people out there that do this, but just from the perspective of what Vanguard stand for, what Jack Bogle stands for, and all that kind of stuff, it really resonates with me. So we're with Vanguard for the vast majority of things. we've still got money with old employers that we're slowly shifting around. So really, if you look at our finance at present, everything's up in the air because we are slowly but surely shifting things, and you find that you will want to operate at a pace that the institutions can't possibly operate at. So I'm wanting stuff done like today, and I'm not going to name any names, but there are some organisations that I won't be using again. And once we've got it all under our control, we will probably just stick it in a Vanguard Life Strategy Fund and leave it there to self-manage while we go off and enjoy our lives. We may do something slightly different. I'm not sure how I feel about the bond market at the moment, so we'll see. But that's our financing of fire. So I say this is an educated audience. Could you imagine talking to less educated people on this stuff and saying about REITs and low-cost index funds and life strategy funds? They wouldn't know what you were talking about. So I'm pleased I'm talking to you today. Right. So moving on. By the way, I'm doing most of the talking. Sarah's going to be doing a lot of the answering of the questions. But what you'll learn if you watch any of our YouTube videos is
You're the talkative one.
I'm the talkative one. Right. So our Wi-Fi. Let's kick off by saying we didn't really enjoy our corporate jobs. So if you're in a job at the moment and you're enjoying it, brilliant, enjoy it, do. We didn't. In fact, I remember when I started my first job when I was 17 in IT, I thought, I don't really like IT. And I was still there 30 years later. So it just wasn't for us. But for me, certainly, it was a means to an end to get us where we wanted to be. And we really did feel like the corporate life was just sucking out our entire sense of adventure. I don't really want to labor it now, but you all possibly know the whole situation. So for us, let me quickly map out the week, and let's start this week on Friday lunchtime. Friday lunchtime to me is like the weekend. I've got meetings in the afternoon. I don't take any of them seriously, so I would be in those meetings chilling. Sometimes I wouldn't even bother turning up. It's kind of guy I was. And then Friday night, we'd probably go out for a curry with friends, just go crazy, have a few too many drinks. And then on Saturday, we'd find something to do. Not always easy to do, actually, is it? Finding something to do. That's part of our fire future. And then Sunday, the feeling of Monday already is on us. And certainly living where we all live, the UK and Ireland, it starts drizzling. Or you go outside and it's a bit chilly, and then it starts getting dark early, and then before you know it, you got that Sunday night feeling, and then I don't want to talk to you about Monday through Friday lunchtime. It's not as exciting.
It's
just stress. So for Sarah and I, we loved travel, absolutely lived for travel, and would holiday as much as we possibly could.
Never had any annual leave left.
Never had annual leave left. We were the ones that spent it all. We were clever in how we did it, by the way. But if you all know that, we'll cover that at the end. But we did some clever things. So we knew that for us, travel was everything. That's what we enjoy more than anything. So in our future, we knew that what we wanted to do is prioritize travel. We were excited about the variety of experiences that we can get in that travel. So let me explain what I mean by that. When you work in a day job and you get a few weeks holiday each year, you're going to be really careful how you use that time. So we had a couple of locations that we liked visiting because we could kind of guarantee the fun that we would have when we got there. So we would kind of home in on those places and ensure that we had that fun. There were a lot of places in the world that we wanted to go to. There's something I could say inappropriate, but I'm not going to. Again, if you want that, then ping me separately. But there's places we wanted to go to. So I'll give you an example. There's a place we're going to later this year. We're planning anyway, if COVID allows. We're planning to be in Vietnam at the end of November into December for an event that's happening there. I probably wouldn't have done that when we were working our job because it's, we got to get to Vietnam. Don't really know Vietnam. We're going to be in Hanoi. what if we get to Hanoi and we don't like it? We've just wasted 2 weeks holiday. We only get a couple of years. So I'd have probably, binned it off till next year and done that. So for us, having the variety of experiences in our future is great, because we know we'll go to Hanoi. If we don't like it, well, we'll go somewhere else next month. If we don't like that, we know we're going somewhere else a month after that, and so on. So that's something that really excited us. So we had a plan to fire, and our fire date was the 1st of May, 2022. So now you're all thinking, oh no,
got it wrong.
he's got the slide wrong. Oh, can't someone tell him? Can't even read the chat. No, you can't tell me. Haven't got the slide wrong, because what actually happened is this. So I'm not the most active person at the best of the time, but what you can see in those pictures is me laying down, and I was in that position for a good couple of months. Basically I had an accident, and it changed everything. I'll quickly cover the accident. I'll move on. How am I doing for time? Yeah, I'll quickly cover the accident, and then I'll move on. So basically what happened was, Sarah and I, we were downstairs, we were about to watch a movie. I think it had animals in the movie. So I think it had something like that. So we thought I thought our cat probably would fancy watching it, but she was upstairs asleep. She was 18. She had a lovely sleep. She was 18, and I thought she'd like to see this one, and it'd be a nice kind of family event if we did that. So I ran upstairs to get her. So I'm carrying her down the stairs. I'm kind of holding her like that. Can't see the stairs in front of me, and slipped on the stairs. And as I slipped, they say when things happen, everything goes into slow motion. This did actually go in slow motion, because I thought, I'm going down. She's 18 years old. What am I going to do with her? Well, if I kind of move her to the side like that, she can get away. So by the time I'd made that decision, I did that. Basically, what I did is my shoulder blade went into the stair and completely shattered it. It was the doctor said it was
quite a superstar.
Yeah, it's quite a unique fall. So before then I'd never broken a bone, and now I broke a bone in more ways than you could possibly completely shattered. Anyway, so it was a massive shock for us. This was one of those things that always happens to someone else, where you go in through life, everything's fine. Actually, we're going to watch this. We never did get to see that movie. No. We're going to watch this movie and go get a cat. Going to be nice. Everything changed from that moment on. It impacted my mental health quite severely, and I think in a way that hit Sarah's mental health, because we were both working. Well, I wasn't working for a little while there, but we were both working from home.
It was the care involved as well, and
yeah. I couldn't dress myself. There's a lot of stuff I couldn't do. So it obviously impacted physical health. I'm still in pain now. I'm in pain sat here having this conversation with you, but it accelerated our plan. So we just said, we're firing now. And that was that. So there's a picture there of our cat. Her name was Cinder. She actually died in October last year. Anyway, move on. Right. So to our future. Our future plan is we are going to travel the world for at least the next 10 years. So just allow me to go through all this. And the reason why I want you to listen to it is this may not be your dream. Okay. If it is, this is really, really important to you. But if it isn't your dream, just recognize that you have got a dream. And just look at how enthusiastic I am about what we're doing. And this will be you. And actually, Sarah, remind me, I want to talk about motivation before we wrap up. I've got two things I want to talk about on motivation, which got us through this. So we hit the go button on our fire plan. So that was fun, because I think our friends and family thought we basically lost our mind. As I say, my best mate is on this call. And well, I think she knew I lost my mind many years ago, actually. But other people, they thought we lost our mind, because what we then did is we handed in our notice on our jobs and we put everything up for sale. So let's just look at this externally, right? You guys all understand fire and know what we're doing. Externally, Neil's fallen down the stairs. He hasn't been to work for months. Oh, they put their house up for sale. Oh my God, they're selling all the stuff in their house. We had a motorhome, that's gone. What are they going to do? So I think everyone looked and thought, oh, they haven't got a job anymore. It was interesting. But but it was so exciting. It was when you make that plan and you make the leap, you go, right, we're doing this. Things like selling your house and everything. All we've got now is 2 backpacks and a wardrobe with trinkets of stuff we want to keep. So we got some comments from people. So my old man, my dad, he said, well, you're not exactly following conventional wisdom. And I love it when you hear stuff like that. And you guys are hearing exactly the same thing all the time when you talk about fire, I'm sure. When, you know, when Alvar's living on, I'm assuming just bread and water, people look at him and go, well, you're not really living a life of conventional wisdom. He's enjoying it. He likes water and bread, so don't knock it. So I've had great conversations with my old man on this stuff. Another thing that we've heard is, well, if it works, I'm pleased for you. So let me paraphrase what that means. What that means is, right, so you two are going to go around the world, because obviously travel's really expensive. You're going to blow all of your cash and be destitute. That's basically what they're hearing. So if it works, I'm pleased for you. I think it might work, COVID allowing. Another thing we heard is, I'm really jealous. And another thing that we heard is, I'm really jealous. And something else, I don't know if you remember hearing people saying, I'm really jealous. Now, do you know what? I don't think people are really jealous, because what we're doing is absolutely achievable. But when Sarah and I went through the process of deciding to sell our house to go around the world, we had a nice house. We'd remodeled it, and it was good. Issue is, with what we want to do, and with our fire plan, we can't have a house full of stuff and travel the world. So when people sound really jealous, what they're saying is, I'd love to travel the world and have my house and all my stuff. Well, we're not doing that. People aren't really jealous of that, because you say, well, you know, follow the fire route, sell all of your stuff, and then you can travel. Well, no, I don't want to sell all my stuff. So it's just, that's just what people say, that they're jealous. They're not. Hopefully, you know, people will be vicariously living their lives through us when they watch our YouTube channel, but they're not jealous. So, wow, it's almost like I planned that. I didn't really plan it that well to talk about a YouTube channel, but we started our YouTube channel, and we've done that to inspire other people. So you can see our little badge on screen there. So a little call out to Sarah. Sarah is not a graphic designer, but one of the things that she wanted to do as part of her fire journey was learn how to do graphic design. She designed our logo. So we're To Go Rome, living our best life. So we started our channel, all there to inspire others. So by the way, I'm not here to sell anything, and I'm not going to say to you subscribe and like, because actually we're not looking for people to subscribe if they're not interested. What we're really looking for from our channel is real organic growth, because we want to have people who understand what we're doing to come on the journey with us. So if you're interested, subscribe. If you're not, do not subscribe. But moving on from there, you know, we're not daft. We've decided the best possible time to travel the world is during COVID-19. Look at it this way. I've been on this planet for over 50 years. And in all 50 of those years, I've been allowed to travel almost anywhere in the world. And the 1 minute I can't travel anywhere outside my front door is the minute I say, hey, Sarah, let's go travel the world. See what I mean? It goes back. This is a callback to earlier on that we're not that bright. We feel like kids again. Main reason for that is because we're currently sat in Sarah's mum's back bedroom, because we haven't got a house. She's very thankful for her to put us up, to be honest. Keep buying her cream buns, it keeps her happy. We did have an outline plan before the lockdown, and the plan was Portugal. So we should be in Portugal at the moment, in fact. We've lost money on an Airbnb. We should be in Portugal, but obviously because of COVID, we're not. Then we were going to be heading to Turkey, going to Istanbul and spending time there. Then from Turkey, we were going to go to Thailand, and from Thailand on to Vietnam. So we're still hoping to do bits of this year, and then to Malaysia, and then who knows? We had no idea what our plan was from there. And that's the beauty of it, because what we're doing, we're going to be nomadic, no home. So we're going to go to Portugal, use this as an example, Portugal, Turkey, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, then go, Would you fancy? Do you want to do Mexico? Yeah, all right, we'll go there. And that's our future. So the benefits of traveling the world, this is the last slide you'll be pleased to hear, and then I'll shut up. So first of all is geo-arbitrage versus the 4% rule. So Alvar gave some very sobering thoughts about the 4% rule. Actually, while he was doing that, I was calling my old employer, see if I get my job back. But geo-arbitrage versus the 4% rule. If the markets move in a negative direction, then we have the opportunity of being flexible. I think that's, keep our options open on where we settle. And let me just open all this up. We can be flexible because we don't have nothing incumbent on us to go somewhere or a house to look after. So we can say, well, do you know what, things are going a bit dodgy, let's head to Southeast Asia and spend a bit of time there. And then what you can do, because we repeatedly say to each other, this isn't a holiday, it's our life. So we could say, we'll go to Southeast Asia and then we'll just chill. We'll get an apartment, let's not spend any money for a few months.
Slow travel, that's
exactly. So keeps our options open for where to settle. So this is like a long-term house hunt. So I've said this is a minimum of 10 years. Think of it like this. We're going to travel the world. We'll go to a place and go, that's nice. We like that. So it may be a city and we say, we really like this city, but because we've been here for a month or two, we know a bit more about the city than you would do if you were just a vacationer. So we can look at it and go, it's a nice city, but we wouldn't want to live there. We can't afford to live there, but here's a sweet spot. And we're going to note all this stuff down. We're setting up a blog. It's all going to go on there as well for other people. So it's kind of that long-term house hunt. Then in 10 years' time, we can go back, review everything and say, right, it's out of these 2 or 3. Let's assess those and see where we want to go from there. Clutter-free living. There's nothing less freeing than having nothing. I feel better for it. And I've had a lot of stuff, so I feel better. I'm sat here wearing really what I've worn for the last month. Do wash every now and again, but I prefer it personally. I think you do as well. I do. Ultimate flexibility, done that. Forces us to stay in touch with friends and family. So something that we've heard from other fireys in our position is once you disappear off, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. People have got their own lives to lead and they'll remember Sarah and Neil and go, oh, I wonder where they are now. Well, let's have a look at YouTube. We'll see. I'm not that interested. So, they're not going to put the effort in. It's incumbent on us to do that. So we're going to be going out of our way to stay in touch with friends and family. One of the things we're doing on that is the YouTube channel, not so we can say, hey guys, look what we're doing. It's more about when I talk to my friends and family, I don't want to be saying, what have we done? Well, last month we did blah, blah, blah. You can watch the videos, you can see all that. We can get much deeper down into a conversation, talk about real stuff rather than our travels. I don't want to chat to friends and family about that, to be honest. It's boring. Learn other cultures and languages. That's, I'm from Swindon. So you'll see that culturally, I've got a long way to go. So I'm looking forward to learning other cultures and languages from around the world. Right. So, so I just want to talk on motivation before I wrap up, Dave. So there's 2 things. One of these, I've done a video on it. So by all means, check that out. The other one, I'm going to do a video on. So the first one, and again, this is about the position you're in. So you're on your fire journey. I saw earlier that some of you are more than 10 years out, and I feel you. I've been there. I know what you're going through. And it's very easy to say, I'm doing fire. But it's also really easy to kind of fall off the wagon and not do the right thing all the time. So these are the 2 things that I used that motivated me. And I've not heard them from anyone else. I made them up. And so throw it out or enjoy it, whichever. So the first one is that you can become a hero, and the person that you will become the hero of is yourself. So I would do things knowing that my fire date is 10, 15 years in the journey ahead, and I would do something, or I'd think about buying something, and then I would say to myself, so what would the future Neil think of you today? Would he think, you idiot, why did you spend that money on that thing? Or when I make a decision not to do something, is he going to be thankful? And actually, now I'm sat here, I can categorically tell you that I look back at myself 10, 15 years ago with absolute pride, because I know not all decisions, you know, we've spent money, trust me, but there are decisions I made when I did it knowing full well, I wonder what the future me is going to think of this. And now I am the future me, and I'm going, cheers, mate. You really helped us out there.
Definitely.
So that's the first one, be your own hero. The second one, I shouldn't do that. Second one, and I've not heard anyone do this, and I call it my bucket principle. So what if I told you that you have already retired? Because that's what I told myself. So what I would do is, well, hopefully you all understand the 4% rule and 25 times and all that kind of stuff. So you know what your FIRE number is. So let's say, to keep my maths easy on here, let's say that your FIRE number is 1.2 million euros. Or it could be 120,000, but it doesn't matter. 1.2 million, because it's nice and easy. You're saving, and as you're going through your savings journey, you'll get to a point where you've saved 100,000 euros. And when I got to that point, I said to myself, Sarah, or I said to Sarah, Sarah, we've retired for January. January is done. We retired. So I went through every month of the year as we were on this FIRE journey, and I was saying, we're 6 months retired. We now need to work hard to get to the 7th month. And the really exciting thing when you do this is, as you're doing it, because of compound interest, you will see that it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. So that excitement of we did that last month, when we're not far away from the next month, and that
we were checking it off on a chalkboard, weren't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chalkboard. We did that. So anyway, there's our contact details. The To Go Roam website is under construction. I worked on it yesterday just for you. It's a mess, so don't look at that. It will be ready in about a week's time. Do connect with us on Facebook, because we've set a group up on there, and I think there's only me and Sarah and her mum who's a member of it at the moment, so I could just do with someone other than Sarah's mum. But more importantly, right at the top of here, you'll see our YouTube channel is To Go Roam. That's us.
Yeah.
There we go. Dave, over to you. What do I?
Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. Neil and Sarah, can you hear me?
Hang on. I'm technically incompetent. Sarah, you do something.
Right.
Sarah, do something. Your screen. I'll tell you what, if we do. Stop. Yeah, there we go.
Sorry.
We've done it.
It's a long time since I've done that.
Well done, guys. So you're wrapping up there, okay? Fantastic. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, listen, a massive thank you to you, Neil and Sarah, from To Go Roam. And what an inspiring final presentation. I personally thoroughly enjoyed it. And I definitely enjoyed your first YouTube video, for anyone who hasn't seen it, you know, and everyone can actually enjoy that. Given you guys are both from the UK, although shortly due to being nomadic slow travelers, I think that the principles of FIRE, myself anyway, and the lifestyle movement are, you know, applicable to pretty much anyone anywhere. And before we go into the Q&A, just a personal note from me, then the best of luck with you guys when you do get on the roads. Well, you won't be UK anyway, you'll be nomadic, so you'll be all over the place. Hope you come and visit us in Ireland, and whenever you get to jump on the flight, boat, train, whatever, you are really getting on and having life, as they say, not letting life have you, which I think is what you said there, really. You are your own hero. Cool. So what we'll do, if it's okay, before we go into the informal Q&A, there might be some specific questions for you guys. So we will go to the chat, and there was a couple of questions that were actually sent in prior. Neil, are you okay to take some questions, and Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. There was one here that came in via Facebook message, which is, guys, what were the main barriers that could have stopped you from taking the leap? I suppose that means to FIRE.
Yeah, we're not selling anything, but we've got, we've got a YouTube episode, which is exactly, I think, what stopped us, what nearly stopped us taking the leap. So thinking about this from the FIRE perspective, when you get to the point of earning to not earning, even though you will have your numbers lined up, it's pretty terrifying. It's pretty terrifying because our plan is never to work again. You know, you might see us in your local Sainsbury's one day stacking shelves, and you go, "How did that go for you?" But we're not planning to. So that was scary, and that's something that you have to keep checking yourself and think, "Yeah, we're doing the right thing."
Yeah.
So that was for me.
Yeah.
Anything for you?
But I think obviously selling the house was a major barrier to get over. It was something we wanted to do, but actually we loved the house and getting rid of all our stuff. It was the emotion and the attachment to our things. So, you know, we had the right mindset. We got ourselves prepared for that. So, but that could have been a massive barrier.
Yeah, great. There was a couple more. There's actually a lot of questions that came in for all the different speakers, so I'll just do a couple as we go into the 9 o'clock. Either of you, what are your plans from here, and where are you planning to travel first, guys?
Anywhere that will have us, to be honest. Once we get our vaccines,
it is quite simply, you know,
from there,
so, you know, probably a couple of years ago, we wouldn't have said, yeah, we'll go to Ecuador. That's really exciting. But now, if Ecuador are the first people who'll have us, we go, oh, we love Ecuador. Come on, let's go to Ecuador. So wherever will have us, Dave. Simple as that.
Okay, we'll just finish with one direct question, then we'll go to the informal Q&A. I'll pick a random one here. So how are you, excuse me, how are you planning so how are you planning your withdrawal for your annual expenses? How are you planning to draw down?
Right, okay. So that one actually something I've not told Sarah about yet. Something I'm thinking of doing is we want to keep probably 18 months of money relatively liquid. And actually in the UK, I think probably what the best thing to do is, because of interest rates being so poor at the moment, is probably for a lot of that money to be in premium bonds. You know, I'm hearing more and more talk about premium bonds actually it being a relatively it is a safe haven at the moment when there aren't really the bond returns. So that's probably that. Just a note to everybody, if you have got other questions, just drop it to me in an email. More than happy to